Hello and welcome to episode 99 of the Pos-cast. Rabbi Shmuel Posner and myself, Seth Hellman. Rabbi, how are we doing today?
Baruch Hashem, we're good. We're good. We're in the pre-Purim mode now because today is the 11th. Today's the 12th day already of Hadar. The Mishnah says in certain cases you can start reading the Megillah from the 11th day. So in Dam Tavei Hadar, like you're in the whole month of Hadar. The Megillah says that when Haman he said he threw a lottery for a month, for which month it'll be and which day it'll be. So, and then at the end of the Megillah it says that the month get transformed to good. So the whole month was considered to be a good month for him to do us harm, and then it turned out that the month was a great month of celebration for us. So it's the whole month. But then when we cut into the 11th day, then under certain circumstances, the Mishnah says you can actually read the Megillah starting from the 11th day. So we're on the 12th day now. So we're really into full-blown Purim mode. Are you with us?
Yeah, we're both here, Rabbi. We're all good.
Okay. Baruch Hashem, we've had some technical difficulties because Seth is in Los Angeles. We don't know why. I'm in Boston. We know why. And now let us introduce you to Yitzchak, a.k.a. Winston. This will be a big surprise for the Northeastern kids. They're big Pos-cast fans. Hello. They want to get. Oh, did you say which edition this is?
Yeah, episode 99.
99. They want to get big into 100. I think we should invite whoever wants. Can we get a whole bunch of people on? Is it going to crash the whole system?
It'll probably, particularly because I happen to be in LA next week as well, it is probably not going to work very well technologically. But if there's a particular guest that you really want to have on, you can coordinate that. Like maybe a bunch of Posner children.
My children?
Yeah, your children. But do I have children?
No, well, sometimes we call the students children because they act like children.
Oh, no, you're biological children.
Biological children. And why would they get on?
I don't know. Because they like you?
Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay, so here we have.
Look, you got two sons that are, depending on the direction, within 15 minutes of you. Not even.
All right, we'll see about that. Who knows? But if anybody's listening to this and wants to be a guest next week for episode number 100, and you have something really good to say, contact myself or Seth. Seth you can find in LA. I'm in Boston. Okay, so let's move on here. We have Yitzchak, known as Winston. We're not going to call him Winston. We'll call him Yitzchak because that's his Hebrew name.
That's what, Rabbi, you'll be proud of me because that's what I've been introducing myself as to other people.
Yeah.
I don't say my name is Winston. I say it's Yitzchak.
There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. So first tell us where you are exactly.
I'm at Hadar HatTorah, which is right by 770 Crown Heights. It's a seminary. It's a yeshiva. For Jews, they typically call us the Baal Tshuvas. We're not the from births FFVs people that go to Crown Heights. A lot of, or that go to 770. We're the people that, kind of from all different backgrounds, all different levels. And we learn Torah all day. We study, we do davening. There's a bunch of professors here. And it's run by Rav Goldberg.
You met him?
Of course. I see him every day.
He speaks French, doesn't he?
He does. He speaks like 5 different languages.
You spoke to him in French?
I have. He speaks fluent French.
Because he was born there.
He was born there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
His father was a big rabbi in yeshiva in France.
Wow. Oh, I thought he just lived there for a couple of years. That's awesome. But he's a very nice guy. He's amazing. Very big inspiration.
He's a big Torah scholar.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so everybody knows there's a yeshiva on Hadar HatTorah, 824 Eastern Parkway. It's been there since a little bit before forever. And it's the first Baal Tshuva yeshiva in America. First Baal Tshuva yeshiva. There was never such a thing. Like 50 years ago, maybe 60 years ago, 70 years ago, whatever it was. A yeshiva was a place you went when you little kid. You went to cheder, then you went to and then when you became like teenage, mid-teenage, whatever, a little bit older, then you went to yeshiva and sat and learned all day. And then the first Baal Tshuva shows up, and they don't know what to do with him. It was Dr. Hanoka from Boston. I don't think he was from Boston then. He passed away already, but he lived here for a while, a long time. So they didn't know what to do with him. So they went to 770, and the rabbi said, we don't know what to do with you. And the Rebbe said, pretty much figure out what to do with him. And so they had everybody took turns learning with him. And then eventually, I don't know exactly what year, I don't remember, but they started Hadar HatTorah. Now, tell us a little bit about your background, so we can figure out how you got there.
I grew up in France. I'm born in Paris, France, and I didn't go to Jewish day school. I went to like a secular international bilingual school. I grew up closer to the Reform side, so like we did the main holidays, but we weren't Shomer Shabbos, and I didn't always eat kosher. And I had very, very limited knowledge in Torah. I just learned Torah. I learned how to read Hebrew very basically just for my bar mitzvah. And then after that, I didn't even wear tefillin every day. And it was only until I got to university, to Northeastern, where I met Mendy and Chabad. And so that's where
One second. So you came from France, Northeastern?
From France to Northeastern, yeah.
So where did you learn English?
At home with my mom and also at school. So my mom's American. Yeah, my mom's American. I picked up the accent from her, and I studied English in school because they had classes in English and classes in French.
They had classes that were taught in English?
Yeah.
What kind of school is that?
It's like a bilingual international school. It's called EJM, École Janine Manuel. It's in like the 15th arrondissement of Paris.
It's Jewish?
It's not Jewish. It was founded by a Jew who fled, who survived the Holocaust, but it wasn't Jewish.
But it's called Emmanuel. That's a Jewish name.
Yeah, exactly. Because the founder, Janine Emmanuel, is her name, and it's École Janine Emmanuel, and she was Jewish. And she fled to France after I'm guessing after.
Did you visit America often before you came to school here?
Yeah, every couple times a year, and I have family in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn?
So the thing is, they just moved to LA because my cousin got married to a Persian Jew in LA, but they've lived their whole life. They lived in Brooklyn, not Crown Heights.
Really?
Yeah. Now they're converted to the Persian Jewish community. So
that's a good community there. There's a Chabad Persian thing in LA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you wanted to come to university specifically in America?
Yes.
Why?
Definitely. Better opportunities. I wanted a change of scenery, and I like the culture much better.
There's culture in America?
Yeah. Well, within limits, but I guess, yeah, there's not a lot of history to stuff, but there is. I'd say there's a lot of. I like the culture, how people treat each other. I like it better.
Our culture in the U.S. is way better than France.
Mm-hmm. You talk to a French person, it's usually a downer. You know what I mean? They'll kind of bring you down. I'm generalizing here, but they're very pessimistic, and they're very envious. And there's a lot of things I don't like about French culture. There's a lot of things I do like, but mostly I don't like. And in America, that people pull you up, and they're very happy and smiling, and they're like, go. Here they tell me atzlacha. I learned it, success. You know what I mean? So it's great. I think that's a very Jewish spirit, and American spirit. That's what I like.
If you went to yeshiva in France, they'd also say hatzlacha, a little different accent, but
yeah, but they'd say it with a frown, like hatzlacha.
No,
I'm kidding. Yeah. Anyway,
you know how you say France in Hebrew?
How?
What's the word for France?
Oh, isn't it Sarfatit? Is
Sarfat, right?
Right.
You know how it's spelled? Tzadik Reish Pei Tov. If you switch the letters around, it spells Faratzta. You know
What
what
does that mean?
Faratzta means? Oh, Faratzta Yama Vakema. Not familiar? Faratzta is the bracha that was given to Yaakov. Faratzta Yama Vakema, that you spread to all four directions. It's the motto of Chabad.
Oh, wow.
And the Rebbe lived in France for a few years. And
He
he had
studied in France, didn't he? At a secular university?
at the Sorbonne.
Mm,
And then
I heard of
he
that.
left, and when World War, like 1941, 94 and 41, that's when the Rebbe came to America. He came in 41, but that he was in France. Then he went to different cities, Nice, this and that, until he finally got out. He got out through Portugal, but he lived in France. So the Rebbe spoke French too.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how they have. There's
You could
a
find
lot of polyglots.
next time you're in France, they know the place where the Rebbe lived, it was a shul where he davened. And there's all kinds of people that were interviewed that knew the Rebbe while he was in France. Then he wasn't Rebbe, he was just a son-in-law. But pretty incredible things about him. How he behaved, what he did. Some very powerful stories about the Rebbe while he was in France.
Wow.
And then, and the Rebbe then talked about France in the positive way, like with that idea of Faratzta, spreading out, spreading Judaism. So
Wow. It's amazing.
And
Yeah.
we have two Nigunim that are from France, Napoleon's March and Marseillaise. That's a song that the Rebbe made into a nigun. He took it. He took it and put it to the words Hadar HatTorah, one Simchas Torah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've sung it before with Mendy on Shabbos, and
Yeah. All right. So you came to America to go to Chabad.
To go to university first, and I met Chabad along the way.
But now we know the truth. We know the real reason you came.
Exactly.
Anywhere. Okay, so tell us about how you came to America, how you met Chabad, how you got involved.
I met. I came to America in 2019, and I actually started in McGill University because I got into the NUN program where they send you abroad your first semester. So I was actually introduced to Chabad for the first time in Montreal, Canada, and I can't remember the name. I think his name is Shmuel. But that's it. Yeah, he runs the Chabad of McGill University, and it was great. I'd never known Chabad, but my cousin had told me go to Chabad. Like, if you want a community of Jews, like, go. And I loved it. And so I looked for it when I came back. Problem is, I came back. It was 2020, so COVID hit. I barely got time to get involved, and so it was only when I came back from COVID. And I'm sure, like, Mendy remembers this. It was like in a big tent. We were all wearing masks, and it was very few of us too. But I started going to Shabbos meals, and little by little, I remember back when they used to daven in the Hillel building, before they had, the Shulman Chabad family house, and we started davening there. But I just started going here and there. But for me, it really got serious when after October 7th. Like, my Judaism, I didn't really take it seriously until then. And then after October 7th, I changed a lot. Something, yeah. So
Talk about that a little bit.
Can you still hear me, by the way? Because Seth is reconnecting. Okay. Yeah. Well, after October 7th, like, the first thing about me was that I'm Jewish. That used to not be the case. I used to be like a secondary thing, but I felt like I was constantly reminding my Judaism, and I felt a responsibility that, Israel is not a given, and the Jewish people are not, like, we're not guaranteed to exist. It's funny because our history suggests that we've been persecuted and constantly threatened. But in the 21st century, all of that is kind of gone. But October 7th reminded me that we're not a permanent nation, and we actually have to fight to keep ourselves alive. and Israel is one of those ways. Fighting Hamas is one of those ways, and also davening, increasing my Judaism, and so there's a bit of a spiritual war at the same time. Like we talked at Chabad about this stuff, and I just, ever since October 7th, like I've just felt a responsibility to learn about Judaism, take an interest in my Judaism, so that I may teach it to my kids, so that I may have a Jewish family. All of that became extremely important to me. And as I learned more about it, I just became more interested in it. I would I started going to Chabad in Kenmore, run by Rabbi Posner. And it's, it's slightly different from the Chabad at Northeastern. I would stay back and read a little bit from the Chumash. I never did that before. Like I never fully read the 5 books of Moses. I'm still discovering it. And as I've read it, I discover so many interesting things that it's not just, you just have the Torah and you just got to like learn it. There's also meaning hidden in the Torah. And I take a lot of it's great to learn about that. It makes me it's very fulfilling. And now since I came here, I discovered even more. There's not just Chumash, not just Tanakh and Chumash. There's Gemara, there's Halacha, there's the Kitzin, the Shulchan Aruch, there's the Tanya. There's so many books and discourses, and it's nonstop. There's so much to learn, and it's very, very fulfilling. Very fulfilling.
Wow.
So,
Seth, do you have any questions for him?
Do I have any questions? Ooh. We could really put him on the spot here and say, which Chabad do you enjoy more, the Northeastern Chabad or the Kenmore Chabad?
That's a very dangerous question. But no, I like both. I feel like I think I graduated from Chabad Northeastern, even though they will always be in my heart and everything. I graduated from Northeastern, so I'm no longer really a part of that community. And I do want to leave that up to like the newer students there. I started going again because ever since I took up my full-time job in September, came back and I started attending the events. But first of all, there's a bit of an age gap that's starting to show. As I'm 23 and there's like 18-year-olds showing up. And second of all, Rabbi Posner's probably laughing at that.
I'm totally cool with 18 years old. It's fine.
Right. Exactly. But the second thing is, it's closer. It's closer to me. That's the thing about. Yeah, geographically. And you guys don't always have a minyan. Also, I know that at Mendy's, for Northeastern, Chabad Northeastern consistently has a minyan, so I feel more needed. See, that's the real answer there. Is I'm drawn to Chabad.
We'll make sure if too many people start coming, we'll send them away so you feel needed.
Exactly.
Very
nice.
So
I do have a more serious question. You said that you didn't grow up super religious, right? And so what was, I'm not going to presume anything about where you currently are within that spectrum, though obviously you're at yeshiva, so we assume that you're getting closer to that more observant side. So what's been the reaction from your family, I guess? Was it something where you always felt like you were supported in that even from a young age, or is it something that's been kind of a weird situation, I guess?
That's an excellent question. I literally talk about this like almost every day with people here. But my family was pretty Reform, and when I came to Chabad, like I didn't really talk about it like that much, but since October 7th, like it's been a lot of conversations I have with people is about Judaism, is about what I'm learning and stuff. My parents have noticed that. And I would go back. I go back sometimes, on vacation with my family, and I comment about their behavior. Sometimes I'm like, I want to do Shabbos. We were doing Hanukkah and everything, like the menorahs, and they see how important it is to me. And I make sure that I impress it on them that it's an important thing to do. And my family has generally started to follow my direction, which is, it's a blessing. Honestly, my family has, every single one of my family members pretty much at this point is eating full kosher. And now they're starting to be Shomer Shabbos. And we're doing all the major holidays. I did Sukkot for the first time, and they also started doing it. we have Purim happening. They also started doing that. So it's like slowly by slowly they're heading in the right direction. Obviously, I still wish I know that my dad isn't wearing tefillin every day. I know that they're not really like opening the parsha of the week and reading it very thoroughly, but I noticed that there's an effort to go in that direction. But it is true, like I've also had heated discussions where I've had to dispel a little bit the myths of Hasidism and about like the Orthodox community, because a lot of people outside of the Orthodox community have preconceived like misconceptions. You know what I mean? Totally. Like it's like rumors that get spread that the Orthodox community is like a cult. It's something that traps you. They're in it to like, you know what I mean? They suck you in and they don't let you go. Stuff like that. And they become very threatening. I don't know where this stuff, like these rumors have started, but I've noticed there's a bit of that when I talk to some of my family members. And they have a bit of a like be careful, be careful to not get too involved, too deep in it. But other than that, it's been going well.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because that was certainly my experience in certain reform communities was that, when the first break after my first semester of my freshman year at BU, I had gone back to one of the congregations that at the time my parents were members of, and we were talking with the rabbi there, and I had mentioned that I had been to Chabad a couple of times, and he said, "Oh, be like you said, be careful." And I was like, I don't know, I'd met Rabbi Posner a few times. I had never gotten a bad vibe from him, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
I think Yitzchak, I think what's so, first of all, it's incredible story. That the fact that your parents are coming along with it, but and what's so critical is that you're talking to them. It's the most important thing. There's no surprises. Like you don't. I assume you told them you're going to yeshiva before you went.
Yeah, they know.
You see, there'd be some kids that would just go to yeshiva and call, "Hello, mom. I'm in Brooklyn now in yeshiva," and like they would probably get on a plane and come like to rescue you, or call the
Right.
police or something, call the FBI. Like he's been kidnapped. So
Yeah.
it's so important to always talk to them, and so
Yeah.
they hear what you're saying, and you're able to explain it to them, and to them to see how it's a gradual thing. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden my son became something different. It's not all of a sudden, and it's not something different. It's things that you're incorporating into your life that are all just are Yiddishkeit. And I mean, the fact that they're doing stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so unusual. Usually the family, like if they're not doing it, they don't want to do it. Why should they want to do it? But it must be that, something that they have when they were younger, or their grandparents from, either side, something was, must have been a lot of stuff going on that they're familiar with, at least. Now they're getting more committed to it.
Yeah.
The fact you
For
said your
sure.
father's not putting a tefillin on every day is like laughable.
Yeah.
He's starting to put it on tefillin. It's not every day yet. Whatever.
Yeah.
And another thing I'm thinking is there's got to be Chabad people, Chabad houses, or Chabad rabbis somewhere near where you live.
Yes. Oh, of course. I'm sure there are.
And there's a lot of Chabad they don't call in France they call Lubavitch.
Mm-hmm.
They don't call it,
Yeah.
and there's got to be somebody nearby, and for them to, if they can have like a personal connection to some, maybe even you can even look around and find where something's going on for Purim, and suggest it to them, like, hey, I just found, I was talking to somebody, I looked online and found a place that they can go and be with Lubavitchers on Purim, and
Yeah.
that would really, then they're seeing it like on their, in their community. It's not like it's not far away. That would be a great thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
When you talk about being, is there a reform in France? Is there such a thing?
There's definitely not conservative. Like it's either reform or like reform in the sense of like not very religious at all, or orthodox. It's this big division.
I'm talking about the way they live their life. You said it was whether were they part of a reform congregation?
No, not at all. It's just in terms of the
Okay, so
like
they
not
weren't
following things. They weren't observant.
What?
Yeah, they weren't observant is probably what he
Right.
meant.
That's how you should talk about it. Leave the word reform out. It's nothing to do with reform.
Oh, okay.
Now, the reason I'm
Okay, then
saying
yeah.
that is because reform is an ideology, and
Yeah.
ideology precludes pretty much doing Torah and mitzvahs. It's like anti-Torah mitzvahs. So,
Okay.
but they're not like that. They just weren't doing what they weren't being observant. That's the way it is. They were not observant. Now they're becoming more observant. That gives a much clearer picture, and
Yeah.
that means also that there's no shift ideologically. So they probably are used to Yiddishkeit being you keep all the holidays, you keep Shabbos, you keep kosher. They just weren't doing it. In other words,
Yeah.
what is the Judaism they weren't doing before they started doing this? Were they doing Reform Judaism, or they just weren't doing halachic Judaism, Orthodox? So it seems to me, I'm just from what you're saying, and it makes a lot
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
They needed, like what you're doing without knowing it, or maybe you do know it, is by sharing the things you're thinking about and the reasons that you are motivated to become more observant is resonating with them, saying, wow, that actually makes sense. I don't know this for a fact. I can imagine your parents having a discussion like why don't we should be doing this too. We know it's the
Yeah.
right thing, and why not? Let's try it. Let's do it. We can do it. We can.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giving you full. You got full credit for that, for the great privilege of having
Thank you.
having that effect on your family. I think it's wonderful. It's very
Thank you.
unusual, by the way.
Yeah.
Very few families follow their child. Even though you're an adult, but you're a child. You're their child.
Yeah.
Most families like, okay, he's nuts, he's crazy. We're not going to change. We're not going to this. That's an American thing. Maybe in France, in general, they're in spite of all that you said about French people, they are much warmer.
Hmm.
They
That's
may
true.
they may be pessimistic, but I don't think the Jews are. The Jews are not pessimistic. They're very excited. I know when I was in yeshiva and in 770, when we always were afraid during the holidays, the people would come from all over the world to be with the Rebbe. And when the Frenchies came, it's like, oh, watch out, because they're so intense. They're just like, they want to get to see and this and that. And they push everybody out of the way. They were like, oh, man, like the Israelis and the Frenchies. The Israelis were one level, and then the Frenchies forget about it. That was a whole nother level of intensity. So, And there was a chassid there. Now his son is running it, but Shmuel Azimov
Hmm.
was he was like he was the Rebbe's shliach there, and he had I don't know thousands of people that became Lubavitch because of him, and he was like the simple guy. Like always whenever I would see him, why doesn't he buy a new hat? Like his hat would just look like it was old always, and he didn't. And his clothes were clean and decent, but it wasn't fancy. He was like if you look, a simple guy, and he was like running this whatever institutions he had there, and the effect he was having on people is incredible.
Mm.
And it was, I think it was heart to heart. I just think that people just got into it and they were excited about it. So yeah, when you go next time you go to France, you'll jump into a Fabreng with the Frenchies there. Boy,
I'd love to.
it'll be a powerful. I wouldn't, but it would be. It'll be a pretty powerful an experience and a lot of energy. And we have
Hmm.
another guy here, Nussin Zand. I throw his name out. We do mention names on the Pos-cast. So he grew up in Boston. He has his own story. We never had him on. We should have him on. Anyway, so he grew up in Boston, and again, not in a totally observant family, put it that way. And he wasn't at all. I don't think he was into it at all. And he went to France because he learned French, and he went to France to teach English for a year. And he met the Lubavitchers there, and what turned him on to Yiddishkeit and Chabad, I think, was Lubavitch, were the Fabrengens and the intensity. He doesn't stop talking about the intensity of these people, like
Yeah.
really, really like full of fervor and all that. So maybe that's latent within you. I think the American part of you is what's ruling now. Maybe you should let your French part, and then when you come back to
The
Boston, we're not going
intensity.
to like you so much because you'll be too intense. Anyway, yeah,
That's funny.
the Frenchies are really intense, a little crazy.
They are.
Um,
Very true.
yeah, but yeah, wow. So tell us a little bit. You've been there for 3 days. I know it's not a lot, but tell us just like what you expected, what you saw, what your daily schedule's like?
Yeah, my daily schedule has been basically davening at 9:30. I should be going to the Hasidus class at 8 a.m. First day I didn't go. Second day, there's a variety of reasons why. But anyways, this morning I jogged. I needed some exercise in me. But the days are very long, and it's back to back to back stuff. I'm always talking about Judaism, even when I'm eating lunch and stuff. I'm always talking about stuff with other people. People having discussions at lunch and at dinner over some halacha or like anything like just stuff they learned. There's always nonstop stuff. There's havrutas too. We have haruta sessions where you go into like the davening area and you pick a guy and you just open a page of Gemara and you just study it. In Gemara we've been going over ketubot, and so very interesting. It's very very precise and it's extremely mentally stimulating and challenging. Because there's laws and some laws contradict the others, and then there's so many questions. But we have classes on halacha as well. And by the way, all of this is happening, and you can choose to go to whichever class you want. No one's really looking after you. You get out of it what you put in, really. So it's all up to the person to really make the effort to go. And so yeah, this morning I had Gemara and halacha. That's usually in the morning. In the afternoon, I have Chumash, and I have a little bit of Tanya too. And so that's usually how it goes. And then afterwards, we do Shacharit, we do Mincha, and then we do Marav. Marav usually ends at 10:30. And then on Thursdays, I know they have Fabrengens at midnight. And so it's really nonstop. There's some guys yesterday that went to 770 up until 3 a.m. They were singing and chanting, and I can't remember what it was, but there's always something to do. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be so like kind of like free for all. Like I thought it was going to be more regimented. I thought it was going to be like you get up, like we're all going to have the same class, we should all go. They're going to take attendance, but in reality, it's really not that. It's up to you. You go to whichever classes you want. There's beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So even though because there's people from all levels, but there's also very advanced people who've been in the yeshiva for like a year, 2 years, and then you go. There's people that stay for a day, others that stay for a month. It's really really great. It's run. There's also Rabbi Yaakov Silverstein, which is one Rabbi put me in touch with. I see him sometimes, and he's great. He's teachers here are they're like mentors. You know what I mean? They're like mentors, and you feel the connection. You know what I mean? They're learning themselves. We have very very interesting discussions sometimes about I bring up stuff I learned. When I ran the Chumash is my favorite class. It's my favorite class because we talked. Rabbi Wurzburg, I believe. Wurzburg. Yeah.
He's been there for a long time. Very soft spoken.
Yes. So.
Did you go to the matzah bakery today or yesterday?
I did. How'd you know about that?
Why don't you mention it? It's like a major thing.
Rabbi knows everything. Okay, he's so well known. He's got his spies everywhere.
I did go to the matzah bake. Rabbi, it was amazing. Is that the one you went to? It was incredible. It was like I was, passing. It's like you have the sticks up in the air and the women are rolling. It's like a bunch of women that are rolling the matzah. And whenever they're done, they're like, matzah. And then you have to take it. You have to give it to the guy who rolls it. And then he puts it up on the board, on the stick that the guy then takes in and puts it in the oven. And there's a specific timer. Whatever. And it's such an intense process that there's literally people are fighting over stop chit-chatting, get to work. And it was just it's so intense. I was there for about an hour and a half. And I was exhausted by the end of it. I was completely exhausted.
Oh, they put you to work? You weren't just watching?
No. See, here's the thing. When you go to the matzah bakery, so they have in a normal day, they have a guy who kneads the dough. There's a guy that distributes it to the workers who are rolling it. Then there's a guy that makes the holes in it, and the guy who puts it into the oven. Now, on certain days, especially now getting closer to Pesach, groups or families will come and will want to participate personally in the making of the matzah. Now, the added workers that come with this group or these families that are coming, sometimes like a bunch of families come. Do we lose him?
For a moment, yeah, but continue talking and hopefully he comes back in.
Okay. So the families that come to help, the extra workers that come, so normally everything has to be is done in a window of 18 minutes. So like there's a paper that covers the table, they change it every 18 minutes. The rolling pin that they use, they change every 18 minutes. The bowl that they make the dough in, they change it. The change it means that they clean it out completely from any dough that's in it. And so that everything goes. Now, when the families come, so you have extra hands. So the bowl, during every 18 minutes, they make like 5 different doughs. So in between every dough, they change the bowl because there's other people that can wash the bowl out and get it ready for the next one. The rolling pins, they have to be cleaned off from any trace of dough. That's happened. They have a little room that they like actually use a sander on it. So normally they just change every 18 minutes. When you have the extra people, they change the rolling pins every matzah. Every matzah the woman makes, you take from the matzah from her and give her a new rolling pin. So these are extra stringencies that increase the quality of the kashrus. I mean, it's not a question of being more kosher or less kosher. It makes it more special. So that's what the extra people do with that, and it's very intense because it's a small. You've been there?
Yeah, you brought me when we went on Pagisha.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't remember. So because it's so small, I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way this setup is. You can imagine everybody there now throwing another 15 people that are, and so it's like everybody's moving at once. You can't stop. Because the minute the woman has the matzah ready, you got to give her the new rolling pin, take the matzah from her. So it's like you can't stand to watch. You have to yeah. So it's funny that he had that reaction. Is he back on?
No, I don't. My assumption is that his phone probably died.
Anyway, I think we got a very good. I think it's incredible. And actually, I don't even remember. I think. Like 2 weeks ago, I said, "Why don't you go to yeshiva?" As I tend to say these things to people, and then one day he says to me, "I told my boss I'm taking off from Sunday to Sunday," and I said, "Okay." And I called this Yaakov Silverstein and said, "This guy's coming," and he took a bus on Sunday morning. I had to laugh that he doesn't get up for Chassidus at 8:00 because he told me that he was going to take a 6:45 bus Sunday morning. And I was like, oh, wow, that's great. And then, so at 6:45 or 7:00, I send in the morning, I'm awake, obviously, and I send him a message, say, are you on the bus? And not only a WhatsApp, and I saw like 2 hours later, look, it wasn't even open, it wasn't read yet. So like at about 11:00, he says, oh, actually, I changed my plan. I'm leaving at like 3:00 or something. I said, oh, this is a good yeshiva bacher. He'll fit right in. But it worked out well. I had to send. I went to somebody's house, took down their mezuzahs, and I sent it along with him to get checked. So I was like, okay, this is actually Hashgacha Pratis. He's leaving later. I can get the mezuzah, send him to Crown Heights. They got him checked. He has it in his possession. We'll bring it back. Anyway, so this is good.
I've got to get speaking of getting things checked, I got to get my tefillin checked. Isn't it supposed to be twice every 7 years? Or something like that? Yeah.
Preferably.
Yeah. Right, so they've never been checked. I've had them for over 5 years now.
Okay. I mean, the rule is if they were kosher when they started out, we assume they're kosher all along. Right? If somebody's not using them, then you have to. So it's not like an emergency. You have to get them checked. You're afraid it's not kosher, but you're back. We were talking about you while you weren't here.
Amazing. It's funny because I was literally in the meeting, and then I heard you guys talking, but you didn't hear me. So I don't get what's going on. But I heard that you talked about the bus, and I changed my ticket and everything.
Yeah.
It was all meant to be, Rabbi, because you had a mezuzah to drop off.
I just told him. Yeah, I just told him that. Yeah. It's all good.
Meant to be.
There he goes again. We're not going to worry about
Oh
it.
goodness.
But everybody has to make sure to do the mitzvahs of Purim. Starting tomorrow night, the Megillah, Friday, the Megillah. If anybody's working on Purim, just call in and say you're not working. Don't be a fool. Do Purim properly. Get up in the morning, go to shul, give gifts of food to a friend, give the charity, have the festive meal, preferably earlier in the day, and and just party it up. It's a day of celebration. It's a powerful, powerful day, Purim. It has a lot of amazing energy in it, overcoming all the negativity that's in the world, and just with simcha, just bring a lot of simcha into the world.
Which
Having the
Megillah
joy,
reading is more important, Rabbi? Is it more
what?
important to hear the one at night or the one during the day?
Actually, more important to one a day,
Okay.
but there's no excuse. You got to do them both. Yeah, it's funny because like in the world, the daytime is more important. In college campuses, the night one, like that's when all the big parties are. But really,
Right.
the partying on Purim is supposed to be during the daytime when you have the festive meal. When it's on Friday, it's hard to party too hard because you got to be ready for Shabbos.
Right.
So that's why,
Yeah, it looks like the Chabad over here is doing their Megillah reading right into Shabbos. So like they're
right?
doing Mincha and Megillah.
Right. So what they want to do, because people are at work. It means you can just find the menu for a Megillah reading in the morning. I'm sure they have one in the morning too. But and then that's the proper way is to do it in the morning. Then do the other mitzvahs. The three mitzvahs:
Right.
the gifts to the friend, and then the tzedakah, and then the meal. You could do that in the morning. And the meal, it's anything from a full Shabbos type meal with fish and meat and this and that, to having a sandwich and having in mind this is my Purim meal. I want people to know that if you're not having a full blown meal, you don't miss out the mitzvah by just having and maybe having something a little bit extra. So people are going to work, take with you in your lunch, take a little bit something extra, and when you sit down, think to yourself, "Oh, I'm celebrating Purim now." I'm not going to tell you to have drink alcohol if you're at work, but if you do, it's Purim. No one can argue with you. And one of the things it says about Purim, that Purim will not become nullified when Mashiach comes.
Huh? Okay.
It will be Purim even Mashiach. Why? Because this is such a powerful holiday, because it happens during the exile. And that's this real strength and power of the Jew, that even when things are so dark and Haman has the ear of Achashverosh, who's a total tyrant and dictator over all the countries, they stayed strong. We need to take that energy with us today. And also everybody should be strong in their Yiddishkeit. And like Yitzchak, just amazing how this guy just jumped into yeshiva and sees the sweetness of it. It's not like, oh, we're talking about you again. It's not like the obligations, restrictions, that's all bavamaises. If you're doing something you love and it's important, it's like gold, it's like honey. It's not restrictions, it's not a burden, the opposite. And the Rebbe always gave this example. Carrying something heavy could be a burden. Carrying a big, heavy bundle of diamonds is not a burden. Mitzvahs, or the other example, and the example when Hashem created the bird, Hashem put wings on the bird. And so the bird said, what the heck? All these other animals run around, they can jump and climb and everything. I got to carry these wings with me. And Hashem said, no, don't you understand? Flap them, and you'll rise above all the other animals. The mitzvahs are like our wings to fly high. David should help, Hashem should help, that as we talk about this and we see the inspiration we get from Yitzchak and people like him, or like so into Yiddishkeit, that Hashem should bring us Mashiach. We'll celebrate Purim with Mashiach in the Beis HaMikdash Mamish this year.
Amen. And with that, thank you so much for listening to episode 99 of the Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner. We will see you next week.